ආයුබෝවන්. අද සුවිශේෂී කෙනෙක්ව ඔබ මුණ ගැහෙන්න මම එක්කන් එන්න කියලා හිතුවා. විශේෂයෙන්ම මේ නම එහෙම නැත්නම් මේ පුද්ගලයා අලුත් නෙමෙයි. ලංකාවට තරන්නේ නෙමෙයි ලෝකෙටම. ලෝකෙත් එක රටකට දෙකකට නෙමෙයි රටවල් 100කට වැඩිය. ශ්‍රී ලංකා වාසී ඔබ හැම දිනාටම ලංකාවෙන් එපිට සිට මේ වැඩසටහන බලන හැම දිනාටම මේ සාර්ථක වෙච්ච ජීවිත සහ ව්‍යාපාරවල තියෙන සාර්ථකත්වයේ රහස හොයා දෙන එක තමයි මගේ යුතුයකම සහ වගකීම කියලා මම හිතාගත්තා. ඩිල්මා තේ ගැන දන්නවා නම් දෙවනි පරම්පරාවේ ප්‍රධාන පුරුකත් එක්ක තමයි අද අපි කතා කරන්නේ. ඔහුට හුඟක් කතා කිරීමේ පහසුව තියෙන ඉංග්‍රීසි භාෂාවෙන් නිසා මම සිංහල ඔබව නියෝජනය කරමින් මම සිංහලෙන් ප්‍රශ්න අහනවා. ඉංග්‍රීසි භාෂාවෙන් ඔහු උත්තර දෙනවා. කියවීමේ පහසුකම් තියෙන නිසා අපිට හැම දිනාටම දැන් තිරයේ දක්වන්නම් ඒ කියන දේ පරිවර්තනය. එහෙම නැත්නම් ආසන්න අදහස. ඒක නිසා අවසරයි ආරම්භ කරන්න හඳුන්වා දෙන්න. ඩිල්හාන් සී ෆර්නෑන්ඩෝ අයබෝවන්.
අයබෝවන්.
පළවෙනි ප්‍රශ්නේ අපි කෙටි ප්‍රශ්න වලින් යමු. තාත්තා ගැන මුළු ලෝකෙම දන්නවා. ලංකාව තේ ලංකාව වලට පත් කරපු තාත්තගේ පුතා විදිහට ව්‍යාපාර ලෝකේ ජය ගන්න ඔබ හිතන විදිහට මොකක්ද රහස?
Two things I think that characterize my father. One, passion. He loves tea. He loves tea so much that he learned everything about tea. When he learned everything about tea, he was able to take tea to the world and show people his passion. So when his customers talked to him, they didn't see somebody selling a product. They saw a man with passion, with love. When you see that passion and love for your product, you know it's going to be good. Because if somebody walks in and says, okay, today I'm selling sugar, I have tea, I have cakes, you know, okay, maybe you'll buy it because it's cheap. But when somebody comes in and says, I have a beautiful tea, it's grown in these mountains, I have been there, I am a planter, this is trust. Trust is the most important commodity in business today. The second thing is purpose. My father, at the beginning, decided that what the British left behind in Sri Lanka, it was 1950. In 1948, we got independence. In 1950, we were not independent. We were politically independent, but economically, we were caught. So my father saw this, and he said, we cannot allow this exploitation to continue. Do you know, until the 1980s, our tea was being exported in raw form to London for auction there. Ceylon tea or Sri Lankan tea in a London auction. My father knew this was not right, but he had to fight his colleagues, his peers. So his purpose was to say our country must benefit from our produce. This is our product. Yes, it is a colonial product, but history, it is what it is. So my father saw that we must help our Sri Lankan exporters, Sri Lankan entrepreneurs, to take Sri Lankan produce not in a raw form, not for somebody else to make money. When you sell tea, you sell it at maybe 400-500 rupees a kilo. When you sell tea in value-added form, you are selling it at 2,000-3,000 rupees a kilo. This difference is very important. That is the difference that will fund the education of our children. That is the difference that will strengthen our economy. That is the difference that will help us to build hospitals, etc. And that is the vision that my father had. In 1950, it took him 35 years, but with the passion and with the purpose, he was like Superman.
හරි. ජනහා සංගායන දෙපාර්තමේන්තුව කියන ආකාරයට දැන් වැඩිහිටි ජනගහනයක් රට ඇතුලේ ඉන්නේ. ඒජින් ප්‍රොබ්ලම් එකට ලංකාව මුහුණ දෙමින් ඉන්නවා. තාත්තා ව්‍යාපාරේ ජයගත්තේ කොයි වයසේද? මොකද ගොඩක් අය වැඩ අතාරින කාලේ තමයි අපි අහලා තියෙන තාත්තා ව්‍යාපාර ජයගත්තා කියලා. කොයි කාලෙද?
When he first started in tea, he was 20. But when he launched Dilmah, he was 58. It's, you know, some people at 58, they are retired.
Yeah.
Today, my father is 91. He is still so passionate about tea. He constantly talks about tea, about helping the industry. Yesterday, I was with him. We were talking, and he told me, look, you have to do more to help the country. How do we help the country as a business? Is we sell tea at a higher value addition. So we are selling single estate teas, single garden teas, new types of tea, oolong teas. We are doing matcha teas, new teas at the highest value addition. So I think whether you are 20, whether you are 60 or 70, an idea, passion, framed in the purpose, you are invincible.
Dilhan, දැන් ඔබේ වයස කීයද?
I am now 53.
ඔබ තාත්තගෙන් වෙන් වෙන්නේ කොහොමද කියලායි දැන් මං අහන්නේ.
My father and I, we are part of the same thread.
Yeah.
My father started in a very different time. He had different problems. But when I joined the business in 1991, I had to look at how we make tea relevant to younger people. So we started tea lounges, we started a school of tea, we started tea gastronomy, we started working with chefs, with bartenders. So my father did something that I could never have done. But then he told me, now I want you to take this further. And to take it further, any product, it must reflect the time in which you are offering it. So in my father's time, in 1950 and eventually 1985, tea was drunk in a very conventional way. Mm-hmm. So you have tea, tea with milk and sugar. But today, what our customers are looking at, they're looking at mixology, they're looking at the aromas, they're looking at philosophies, completely different. They're looking at an experience. And I think this is the difference. But it's the same thread, because when you look to the future, innovation, you can never forget the past. You must always build on the past. So today, our greatest strength as a business is that my father made a commitment to quality. Tea that is hand-picked, tea that is tasted. Every week we taste over 10,000 teas here.
Still?
10,000 teas still to taste, to get the right tea. So quality. With that foundation, you have to adjust to what the customer wants. So today, the customer is talking, when you look at television anywhere in the world, you will see food programs, Master Chef, all of this. So people want this, Supreme Chef and all of this. So we took tea into that area, because any product, whether it is tea or coffee or whatever, it must be relevant to the life of the customer. And that's what we do today. My father has a foundation. We will never compromise that foundation. But we are evolving the product with respect to what my father has done to make sure that it is relevant. So we have iced tea. We have just launched bottled iced tea in Asia. We have launched tea with arak in a can.
Right. Yeah.
We have so many different things. We are not compromising, because you have to make sure the balance, the respect for tea, make the balance, and you offer the customer what they want.
තාත්තා තේ බොන්න ලෝකෙටම නැවත ආරාධනා කරා හෝ පෙළඹෙව්වා. හරිත ඒක තෝරගන්න. එහෙම නැත්නම් තේක පිටිපස්සේ තියෙන මූණ හොයාගන්න. අපි මූණක් දන්න හින්දා අපි අඩුතරමින් කතා කරන්න දන්නවා. හැම පැකට් එකේම පාරිභෝගිකයට පණිවිඩයක් යනවා අත්සනත් එක්ක. අපි දන්න ආකාරයට පුංචි පණිවිඩයක්. මේව කියවනවා. මේක පිටිපස්සේ විශ්වාසයක් ලෝකේ ගොඩ නැගෙනවා. විශ්වාසය තමයි අවුරුදු 35ක් තිස්සේ ගොඩ නගපු විශ්වාසය. ඒක නිසා තමයි විශ්වාසය ගැන වුන් ලෝකේ පුරා විශ්වාසයක් තියෙනවා. මේ ජාත්‍යන්තර මට්ටමේ රසවතුන් බවට පත් වෙලා ඉන්නවා නම් ඔබ දන්නවා ඇති. එකක් ඔබට දැනෙනවා ඇති පපුවට ලංකාවේකම ජාත්‍යන්තරේ කොහේ ගියත් ක්‍රිකට් සහ ඩිල්මා ගැන තමයි අපි දන්නේ. තේ සහ ක්‍රිකට් ගැන තමයි ලෝකේ බොහෝ දෙනා දන්නේ යුද්ධයෙන් පස්සේ බොහෝ වෙලාවට. හැබැයි එතෙන්ට නමක් හදන්නේ එක රෑන් විල්ලු දෙහනාවකින් නෙවෙයි. මගේ ප්‍රශ්නේ ඩිල්හාන්, තාත්තලාගේ පුතාලාගේ බිස්නස් කරන කලාවේදී අපේ දේශීය ව්‍යාපාරිකයන්ට තියෙන ප්‍රශ්නයක්. තාත්තලා හරි පරණයි. තාත්තලා ගත්ත විදිය හරි පරණයි. ඒවා වෙනස් කරන්න ගියාම ලොකු ප්‍රශ්න ඇති වෙනවා. මොකද කැපිටල් එක හොයාගන්නේ තාත්තා. එහෙම නැත්නම් නම හැදුවේ තාත්තා. හැබැයි තාත්තා තේ බොන්න පුරුදු කරා, ඔබ තේ කන්න උගන්වනවා. මම දැක්කා කෑම වලටත් තේ එකතු කරන අලුත් කැම්පේන්ස් ඔබ අලුතෙන් එනවා. ඔබ බ්‍රිතාන්‍යයේ ව්‍යාපාරික ඉස්කෝලේකින් එහෙම නැත්නම් උපාධිය ලබන්නේ බිස්නස් ස්කූල් ඔෆ් ලන්ඩන්. ලෝකයේ ඉහළම මට්ටමේ ව්‍යාපාරික උපාධියක් අරගෙන ඩිල්හන් ලංකාවට එන්නේ අධ්‍යාපනය ඉවර කරලා. හැබැයි කොහොමද මේ දෙක ගලපගන්නේ? අපි දකිනවා සම්ප්‍රදායික ලොකු තාත්තලා යට පොඩි කැනපිය යට පොඩි පැල හැදෙන්නේ නැහැ. මොකද තාත්තා කරපු විදිහට තාත්තගේ මුළු ජීවිත කාලෙම කර ඉන්නවා රෙන්න පුතාලට අලුත් දේවල් ප්‍රතිහාර පාන්න බෑ. ඔබ ජයගත්තේ කොහොමද මේකද? මොකද්ද රහස?
The simple truth is that if a business does not change, it will die. Everything must move forward. And so I was lucky because my father always told me, take this product to the younger people, because he could see who are our customers. Every time we have a event, everybody had silver hair. This was not a good thing. So I told my father, I will respect everything that you have done. Pure origin, yes. Handpicked, yes. Ceylon tea, yes. We will respect tradition. We will respect orthodox tea. Everything that my father honors in tea, we respect. But we will take it to the next step. So when I work with a chef, I tell the chef, okay, you're talking about this dish. You're talking about smoked fish. You can use this tea, but you can't use a light tea because the fish is going to disrespect the tea. You will lose the taste of the tea. Mixologist, you want to combine, you want to have a tea cocktail, you're using gin, you can use these teas. So respect the tea. In every element, in every program we have, whether it is for different moods of tea, whether it is for tea cocktails or mocktails or food, we say first principle, respect the tea. So we look at the tea, the aroma, the taste, the texture, and then we say, okay, now this taste profile and the texture goes with this food or this spirit. So the most important thing is, please remember, to any entrepreneur, respect and understand that success for the father or the founder comes at great cost. For them to want to hold on to it is understandable because they have invested their whole lives in it. But a business has to move on. But it can never forget its foundation. When you start with the foundation, however high the building goes, the foundation is what holds it. So in our case, everything that my father designed into the beginning of Dilmah is the foundation for all our innovation, whether you look at iced tea, whatever we do, however, cocktails, whatever, the foundation is what my father has established.
රහස තේරුම් ගත්තා. දැන් ඊළඟ ප්‍රශ්නේ තමයි ඔබ ඔබේ පුතාත් එක්ක TikTok ගැන කතා කරනවා කියලා මම අන්තර්ජාලය ඔබ ගැන හොයද්දි මට ආරංචි ආවා. ඔබ වාසනාවන්තයි එකක් ඔබේ තාත්තා මේ විෂය ගැන ඔබට ආරාධනා කරනවා එළියට ගෙනියන්න කියලා. එහෙම නැත්නම් ඒක පුළුල් කරන්න කියලා. ඔබගේ පුතා වාසනාවන්තයි ඔබ ඔහුත් එක්ක අලුත් ට්‍රෙන්ඩ්ස් ගැන අවබෝධයෙන් ඉන්නවා. මේ වැඩසටහන බලන ඔක්කොම තාත්තලා ව්‍යාපාරික තාත්තලා එහෙම වාසනාවන්ත නැහැ. පුතාලා වෙන ඒවා කරන්නේ. එහෙම නැත්නම් පුතාලා ඒ තමන්ගේ මුළු ජීවිත කාලෙම කැප කරලා එයාව හොඳ මිනිස්සෙක් කරන්න මම මේ විඳපු දුක එයා විඳින්න ඕනේ නැහැ කියන එක තමයි අපේ සිංහල සමාජයේ හොඟ දෙනෙක්ගේ අදහස තියෙන්නේ. ඒක දිගට ගෙනියන්නේ නැහැ. චේන් එකක් විදිහට පරම්පරා තුනක්. අපි හදාගෙන තියෙන තාත්තලා පටන් ගන්නවා පුතාලා දිනු කරනවා මුණු පුරාලා විනාශ කරනවා. ඕක තමයි අපි හදාගෙන තියෙන යන්ත්‍රය. එතකොට දරුවන්ව ව්‍යාපාරයට යොමු කරන්න ඕනේ කොයි වයසේදීද කොයි විදිහටද? ව්‍යාපාරික තාත්තලාටයි මම මේ ප්‍රශ්නේ අහන්නේ ඒගොල්ලෝ වෙනුවෙන්.
It's a very important question. My son started in tea at the age of 3. Why? Because this is not a business where you are selling a product for money. So he started at the age of 3 to get to know our customers, to get to know how we treat our customers, then to go to our tea estates, then to go to our MJ Foundation projects. He understands the ethics behind the business. So my father talks about passion and he has purpose. So when my son comes into the business, my daughter, my younger son, my brother's daughters, they will understand that there is no negotiation on these points. First, you have to work closely with your customer, our distributors, our global family. So whenever we have a conference, everyone comes together and the family, it's a family, it's friends coming together. It's not a business conference. When I used to travel a lot to Monaragala, to Batiklo, different places for our charitable foundation, we have centers around the country.
Yeah.
We have centers for children with Down syndrome, cerebral palsy, schools. The children come and see this. For them now it is a normal part of business. Whereas in many businesses, the focus is on making money. But they need to understand that here the focus is on changing lives. When you focus on that, the money will come. But if you focus on money, then you don't have a purpose. So what I mean is, if you have your reward, and as our children do, my brothers and mine, the reward in the happiness of someone in Calcutta who came up from nothing and has a shop and is now prosperous, she's able to feed her family, from restoring a forest in Kanneliya, from mangroves in Kalpitiya, hospital in now. If this is your joy, then you look at business very differently. Your objective is and you become stronger, because you are not trying to put more money in the bank. You are working to achieve something that is greater than money. Money, yes, for many people, young people will look at it and say, easy for you to say. It is, but it wasn't. When I joined the business, every order was huge. We were looking, okay, how much money can we make from this? This is important, but we understood always my father's principle. You have to serve the community. You have to serve humanity. Why? When you hire somebody, they have benefited from education in Sri Lanka. When you go to a hospital, they have free medicine in Sri Lanka. You have so many things that are part of the community which are contributing to your business. If you ignore that, then you are a parasite. You are taking. You cannot, because that is a bad thing. But you must, of course you have to take, but you have to give more than you take. And as you become more successful, that needs to be the case. So when you have that purpose, and when we are able to say, so for example, we have just completed construction of a hospital in Point Pedro. We are going there next month. To see our success as a business expressed in the lives of people, this is much greater than anything that you can get from your bank manager calling you and say, congratulations, you have another 500,000 rupees in your bank.
ඔබ ඉන්නේ දැන් බොහොම කම්ෆර්ටබල් තැනක වෙන්න පුළුවන් ව්‍යාපාරේ. මොකද ප්‍රාග්ධනය තියෙනවා, කීර්තිනාමය තියෙනවා. මේවා ලෝක වසංගත වලින් බිම දාන්න පුළුවන් ඒවා නෙවෙයි. දැන් අමාරුවෙන් හදලා ලෝකේ පුරා දන්න තැනකට ඇවිල්ලා තියෙනවා. ජනප්‍රිය නොවන තීන්දුව ගන්න වෙනවා. එතකොට ඔබ පෙරදිලා නැද්ද මේ ව්‍යාපාර කරද්දී? අඩා වැටලා නැද්ද? ප්‍රතික්ෂේප වෙලා නැද්ද? මොකද අපේ ව්‍යාපාරිකයෝ බිස්නස් පටන් ගන්නකොට කියනවා ලොකු අයට නම් මොකද ඕන කෙනෙක්ව අඳුරනවා, ඕන බැංකුවකින් ණය දෙනවා, අපි කොහොමද මේවා කරගන්නේ, අපිට බෑ, අපිට යන තැන් වල ප්‍රතික්ෂේප කරනවා, අපිව රිජෙක්ට් වෙනවා වැඩි කියලා. ඩිල්හාන් රිජෙක්ට් වෙලා නැද්ද? ප්‍රතික්ෂේප වෙලා නැද්ද? පෙරදිලා නැද්ද?
Many times. And every day today we face rejection. Maybe from a hotel customer might say, look, no, I don't want your product, is too expensive, I don't know who you are. Sometimes you go to some countries, they say, no, we are not going to deal with you for some reason. But I think the important thing is, you must understand, never take defeat in a bad way. Every defeat is a victory in a way, because you learn something. My father had 35 years of difficulty. He was kicked, he was pushed, he was no everywhere. But he succeeded. So eventually the success that comes is much greater because you have overcome the odds. But in a simple way, every problem has a solution. And this morning I was talking to a young man from Matale virtually, and he was telling me, I don't have access to funds. I have a very limited he was doing rice cultivation. So I asked him, now, what is the rice, what are you producing? So he told me 2 or 3 varieties. Then I said, look, why don't you put your same effort into producing, I suggested 𝐃𝐲𝐥𝐦𝐚𝐡, some heirloom special varieties from the times of the kings. And I told him, let's talk to the Agrarian Services Department, find some different unique varieties. So my point is that in every situation you will have challenges. Today somebody might look at us and say, it's easy. It is never easy. The bigger you become, the greater the responsibility. You have to get up in the morning and think you are responsible for every one of your employees and their families. This is a huge responsibility. You cannot, of course, you can also get up and say, you know, I've done well, you know, relax. You do that, and after a few weeks, you will see your business going down. Every day, you have to get up with responsibility, with energy, more than what was, because before you have less to lose. Once you become bigger, you have much more to lose. So the most important ingredient here is something that my father taught my brother and I. It's humility. Always be humble. So if a customer turns around and says, I don't want you. Okay, sir, yes, is it okay if I come back next year? One day you will get that customer. And this is our approach. Of course, you learn, why is it that he doesn't want? Is it something irrational, or is this? Usually there is a reason. But if you approach every situation with humility, then you will learn from the situation. If you approach the situation with arrogance, then of course you will never benefit from it. There are some customers, they have said, no way are we going to buy your tea. After 2-3 years, somehow it happens and it comes right. So I think humility is very important.
මෙරිල් ජේ ෆර්නෑන්ඩෝ මහත්තයා තමන්ගේ ඉන්ටර්විව් එකකදී කියනවා අපේ රටේ විෂයක් විදිහට ලංකාවට ආදරය කරන්න උගන්වන්න ඕනේ කියලා පුංචි පන්තිවලදී. ඔහු අධ්‍යාපනය ඉතා වැදගත් දේවල් කියනවා. ඔබට අන්තර්ජාලයේ අපේ සාකච්ඡා බලන අතරතුරේ මම ආරාධනා කරනවා මෙරිල් ජේ ෆර්නෑන්ඩෝ මහත්මයාට ඒ වගේම ඩිල්හාන් කරලා තියෙන අනිකුත් ඉන්ටර්විව්ස් උත් ඔක්කොම අහන්න කියලා. මොකද තමන්ගේ ජීවිතේට ව්‍යාපාර නොකලත් ජීවිතේ කළමනාකරණය කරගන්න සාර්ථක වෙච්ච මිනිස්සුන්ගේ දේවල් අපිට එකතු කරගන්න එක හානියක් නැහැ. ඩේටා වලට වැඩිය ජීවිතේට වටිනවා ඒක. ඒ නිසා ඒවට අපි අහුම්කම් දෙමු. වැඩි දුර විභාග කරමු මේ දේවල්. එක තැනකදී මේ අපේ රටේ ව්‍යාපාර කරන්න බැරි මිනිස්සු ජෙනුයින් නැහැ. මිනිස්සු හොරකම් කරනවා. මිනිස්සු කළගුණ සලකන්න දන්නේ නැහැ. මිනිස්සු කපටි, වංචා කරනවා. ක්වොලිටි වෙනස් කරනවා. මේ වගේ දේවල් හරියට කියනවා. අපේ මිනිස්සුන්ට දෙපාරක් හිතන්න වෙනවා. කතා කරොත් කියන්නේ බොරුවක් කියලා. හැබැයි ඔබ ව්‍යාපාරකාරණි 100%ක් ශ්‍රී ලාංකිකයොත් එක්ක ලංකාවේ නිෂ්පාදනය රෝ මැටීරියල් එකේ ඉඳලා අවසාන පැකට් එක ගාවට එනකම්ම ලංකාව ඇතුලේ මේක නිෂ්පාදනය මම දැන පිට රටවල ඔබ තේ වතු තියනවාද කියලා. හැබැයි කොහොමද ලංකාවේ මිනිස්සුත් එක්ක ව්‍යාපාර කරේ? මොකක්ද ඔබ විතරක් දිනන්න අනිත් අයට එහෙම කතා කර කර ඇවිදින්න මොකක්ද මෙතන තියෙන මැජික් එක?
There is no magic. It's attitude. If you go to the situation with a positive attitude, so you invite somebody, you explain your purpose, you talk to them, you respect them, and invariably you will find a similar attitude back. So we work with a lot of smallholders. We work with as much as possible with, you know, somebody who is making pottery, somebody who is producing packaging. But the thing is, you have to work in partnership. You can't say, okay, look, now what is your cost? 10 rupees, give it to me for 8 rupees. Then you are making somebody who is dishonest. You are creating dishonesty. But if you say, okay, say my cost is 10 rupees. Say, look, let's see, okay, I need to get it to 8 rupees. How do we do this? Shall we look, what is your process? Okay, what is your firing temperature? What is, why are you getting your clay? Cooperate, collaborate, partnership. And then you send your team. Now here we have an excellent QA team. We go and visit our suppliers several times a year. We tell them, okay, look, let's look at it like this. Because now we have internationally, for example, a sustainability standard, biodegradable, compostability, which is very high, which is not yet in Sri Lanka. So we have to explain it to them. Now we help them to come to this world standard that we have to comply with by guiding them, partnering with them. This is why. So when you explain to anyone, they will understand and they will do. But if you just say, okay, no, you have to do it like this, and I want it cheap, this is usually the case. Yeah. They will say, I want the best quality and I want it at the cheapest price. You have to be fair, you have to be kind, and you have to build on a partnership, never a confrontational relationship. Many times here you see confrontation and there is aggression. These are things that don't work. Today particularly, you need to find somebody, hold their hand, build the partnership, and make sure that there is respect. Respect means that you help them, you guide them, and you leave enough money on the table for them to make a profit. If not, you are creating a problem.
බොන්න තේ තියෙනවා. කන්න තේ තියෙනවා. කවද්ද ලංකාවේ තේ හඳට යවන්නේ ඔබ? මොකද්ද තේවල අනාගතේ මං අහන්නේ?
The future of tea is very secure because tea is good for your health. Today, when you look at scientific research on the internet, Kingsly, you will not believe me, there are 20,000 plus research papers that talk about the health benefits in tea. Protecting from heart disease, protecting from stroke, from cancer, protecting from dementia, the Parkinson's disease and so on. Strengthening your immune system, protecting from osteoporosis, aging, reducing stress, 51% reduction in stress. So the future of tea is very secure, but we have to make sure that we communicate it, that we build the story, and we protect the quality of our tea. So that quality ultimately is what will win. Maybe we are not going to be the biggest exporter. We are already not the biggest exporter. But in the future, we should look not at volume, we must look at value. So today we are doing 260, 270 million kilos. Eventually, if we say that we can do 150 million kilos profitably, this would be a very good objective. But that cannot be done without marketing, promotions, investment, and intelligent investment. Today you cannot just do a television advertisement. You know, you are so active on social media. You have to build the experience, talk, communicate on social media. It's unconventional media today. The future of tea is assured, and it is not only in food, not only in drinks, not only in hot beverage, it's everywhere. It will be in cocktails, in arak, in tins, in food, in tablets, everything. So we have to look at it in that perspective.
ලංකාවේ පොළව මේක ඇතුලේ හැමදේම පැලවෙනවා වැවෙනවා අපිට ඔබේ පියා ඉතා අපූර්වට ඔහුගේ ඉන්ටර්විව්ස් වලදී පෙන්නනවා ලංකාවට තියෙන අවස්ථා ගැන. එතකොට ලංකාවේ මිනිස්සු තමයි ප්‍රශ්නේ කියලා එක තැනකදී බලාගෙන ඉඳද්දී ඒවා කියවද්දී හිතෙනවා. එතකොට මිනිස්සුන්ගේ ඊළඟ ප්‍රශ්නේ තමයි සාමාන්‍ය මිනිස්සු නෙමෙයි දේශපාලඥයෝ කියන එක. ඔබට ව්‍යාපාර මේ මට්ටමේ තියාගන්න පුළුවන්ද? මම මේ කියන්නේ අවුරුදු 35ක් තිස්සේ ඔබේ තාත්තා දේශපාලනේ මුකුත්ම නැතුව හිටියා කියලා මට හොයාගන්න හම්බෙන්නේ වරින් වර මම හොයපු දත්ත හරිනම් ඒවයි තියෙන කාරණා අහන්න ලංකාවට හැමදේම ආනයන අපනයන වෙලඳාම් විවෘත කරපු ජේ.ආර්. ජයවර්ධන මහත්තයා තේ විවෘත වෙලඳ පොළට ගන්න හදනකොට ඔබේ පියා විතරයි තේ ව්‍යාපාරිකයෙක් විදිහට විවෘත වෙන්නේ නැහැ ලංකාවට තේ ගේන්න දෙන්න එපා කියලා. එතකොට දේශපාලඥයොත් එක්ක හැප්පෙමින් අල්ලස් දෙන එක අල්ලස් ගන්න එක මේ ආසියාවේම පොදු දෙයක්. तर කොහොමද මේ දේශපාලනයේ ගෑවෙන්නේ නැති වෙන ව්‍යාපාරය දියුණු කරගෙන යන්නේ? දැන් ඔබ තමයි ස්ටියරින් එක හැන්ඩල් කරන්නේ ඔබේ සහෝදරයත් එක්ක එකතු වෙලා. තාත්තා කලේ කොහොමද දේශපාලඥයොත් එක්ක ඔබ කරන්නේ කොහොමද කියලා අපි දැනගන්න කැමති නම් කියන්න.
We are Sri Lankans for Sri Lanka. So no matter who is in power, we will tell the truth. This is what you can do. And people know. No, today my father's Dilhan Fernando Charitable Foundation has spent 6 billion rupees for children with disability, for women with in different difficult situations. So people know that we are not here to take. When they know that we are honest and we are not here to take, we are here to give Sri Lanka whatever is possible. We have always had the support of the governments that have been in, because they know that we are honest and we don't want favors. Whatever we ask, when my father said don't allow the import of tea into Sri Lanka, because he said, look, if you're marketing a product, you have to make sure that the export sector is connected to the plantation sector. Plantation sector is high cost, yes, this is the fact of life. 150 years the soil is depleted. What do? Because it's depleted, costs are high, we have to make sure that we focus on producing the best tea, focus on quality, and selling it at the highest price. So today, our average export FOB is over 2,000 rupees. But unfortunately, many of our colleagues in the industry don't understand this. Their FOB is between 700, 800, 900, 1,000. Whatever we do, we cannot disconnect from the plantations. We cannot say, look, Sri Lanka's tea is too expensive, we are going to buy cheap from Vietnam, because Vietnam will be cheaper tomorrow. And then what happens? We have to build the name of Sri Lanka, because tomorrow, then we have an asset. You talk about fine Ceylon tea, we do talk about Nuwara, talk about Sabaragaon, I mean, talk about anything, talk about Galle district tea, Ratnapura, different characteristics. But the minute you bring in tea from elsewhere and you start to sell on price, you lose the glamour. So this means that you lose the future. From then on, it will only be price. Who is the cheapest? Oh, and there is always somebody cheaper. However cheap you get, there is always somebody cheaper. We are not a country that can afford to fight on price because we don't have the resources. And our produce is the best in the world. Sri Lankan cashew, Sri Lankan cinnamon, clove, cardamom, tea, all the best in the world because our country, our soil, our biodiversity is unique. So we have a story to tell. We must tell the story. We must sell the product at a price that will help our country and where a consumer is prepared to pay. Because today, if you go to, for example, you go to some countries, you will see Ceylon cinnamon competing with cassia, cinnamon substitute. Ceylon cinnamon is good for your health, is good for protecting against diabetes. Cassia is cancerous. Why are we doing that? We must say this is the best in the world. Look at the pictures, look at the stories, look at the beauty of Sri Lanka, look at our countryside, look at how we are growing this, hand making, we are peeling, doing all of this by hand. What a great story. And that means it comes at this price. And the consumer is ready to pay. But that communication must be there and the product must be pitched high. So when we do this, the politicians understand that we are not involved in politics. We are involved in Sri Lanka. And we want to do the best for Sri Lanka. So they also know that we will help. So we participate with the EDB, with the Tea Board. We help wherever we can. And we give our knowledge freely because this is not a competition amongst us. It is competition amongst producing countries. So it's, I think they know that we are honest. We stay true to what my father has started. And I think that is what keeps us above politics.
මගේ තව එක ප්‍රශ්නයක් තියෙනවා මට මේක අහන්න නැතුව ඉන්නම දෙන්නේ නැහැ මගේ හිත. මොකද කාලයක් යනකොට දේශපාලඥයන්ට හිතෙනවා මුදල් දැක්කහම ව්‍යාපාරිකයෝ බවට පත් වෙනවා. ඒතකොට දේශපාලනය කරන ගමන් ව්‍යාපාර කරනක අධික ලාභයක් තියෙනවා. එහෙම නැත්නම් අධික ආරක්ෂාවක් තියෙනවා කියලා. ව්‍යාපාරිකයන්ට හිතෙනවා අධික ලාභ ලබනකොට ආරක්ෂාව තිබුණොත් හොඳයි කියලා. වුන් දේශපාලනය කරන්න හදනවා. එහෙම නැත්නම් දේශපාලඥයන්ව මිලට ගැනීම හෝ දේශපාලඥයන් බිහි කිරීම කරන්න හදනවා. ඩිල්මා ගෲප් එකෙන් පොලිටිෂියන්ස් ලව හදන්න නැත්තේ ඇයි කියන එකට උත්තරේ භාගයට ආවා මට. නැත්තම් හැමෝටම තමන්ගේ ලොකු කරගත්ත දේශපාලඥයෙක් තමන්ගේ ආරක්ෂාවට තියනවා. තමන්ගේ ෆැක්ටරි ටික බේර ගන්න හරි ස්ට්‍රයික් කරන්න නැතුව ඉන්න මොනවා හරි දෙන්න හරි. ඔබේ ෆැක්ටරි වල ස්ට්‍රයික් අපි දැකලා නැහැ. වර්ජන තර්ජන අපි දැකලා නැහැ. ඒ වගේම ඔබේ බොහෝ දෙනා නොදන්නා රහසක් මම එලි කරන්න අවසර ඉල්ලනවා. ඔබත් එක්ක එංගලන්තේ එකම ඉස්කෝලේ ඉගෙන ගත්ත ව්‍යාපාරික නොවන යාළුවෙකුත් ඔබට ඉන්නවා ලංකාවෙන් ගියේ. ඔබ ඔහුත් එක්ක දේශපාලන වැඩ කරන්න යනවා අපි දකින්නේ නැහැ. යාළුකම් තියෙනවා ඇති අපිට ඒක ගැන විශේෂයෙන් දැනගන්න අවශ්‍ය වෙන්නේ නැහැ. නමුත් කොහොමද මේ වර්ජන තර්ජන නැතුව දේශපාලනයේ ආපහු දේශපාලනයෙන් ආරක්ෂාවක් ලබන්නේ නැතුව උඩට යනකොට එයාගෙන් කරදරයක් නැතුව මේ දෙක කළමනාකරණය කරගන්න මැජික් එක තව පොඩ්ඩක් පැහැදිලි කරගන්න ඕනේ මට ඔබ කියපු දේ පැහැදිලි තව ටිකක් ගෙනියන්න ඕනේ ඉස්සරහට කොහොමද ස්ට්‍රයික් වගේ දේවල් නැති වෙන්න පවත්වා ගත්තේ කියන එක.
It's about relationship. When you are with your workers, you can have confrontation or you can have collaboration. My father always said his door is open. So normally he will sit there. Anybody who wants can come in. So I need help for this. I need medicines for my father. When you have this, and even today it's the same thing. When you have this relationship, why do you want to form a union? We are open with everyone. So we talk to the staff and say, look, what is it you want? Once every 2 months, I meet together with my colleague Himendra Ranavira. We meet with my father also with the workers. What is it? What can we do? They know what we are doing for the country. They know what we are doing for them. When they have some problem, we address it. Because without them, we cannot do anything. Without us, they cannot run the company. So they understand this collaboration. For the politics, some people are made for business. Some people are made for politics. For us, this is about Sri Lanka. This is about tea, it's about Sri Lanka and helping people. Some people have an experience in business. You need certain knowledge for business. Politics is a completely different area of activity. And I think you have to be practical to realize that you can do what you can do. So sometimes you have people who think that they can do everything. Quite honestly, that is the beginning of the end for any business. So it's the same question that some people ask me, why don't you have Dilmah coffee? Why don't you have Dilmah cola? Why don't you have this? No, we know tea. We love tea. That is all we are going to do. The minute we go into another area, deviate into an area that we don't know, that is the beginning of the end. Because we don't know how do I stand up in front of a customer and say this is the best in the world. He'll say, look, you don't know, because what is it, how you have just bought this product from somebody else. So for us, what is important is to be sincere. And all the politicians in this country understand that we are sincere. We share our profits with the less fortunate. We are building hospitals and schools and all of this from our profit. We don't have to do this anywhere, but we do this. We have 82 schools we have built, we have hospitals, we have 13 centers for children with disability, with many different projects plus environmental projects. So whatever we do, we must do to support the government, because our objective is Sri Lanka. And for us, whether it's one government or another, we are focusing on Sri Lanka. So whoever is in power is elected by the people, we will support. For exports, we will share, because when we share our knowledge with the EDB, for example, we are not supporting a government or we are not getting involved in politics. We are trying to help an entrepreneur. This is what our interest. And ultimately, when you have more and more entrepreneurs, you will have economic development. Sri Lanka today should have 10 Dilmahs. One is not enough. We should have 10 brands like Dilmah, Sri Lankan Airlines. There are so many opportunities. Cinnamon, we should be the best in the world. We are the best in the world, but you need a brand to give it identity. Same for cashew, look at cardamom from Sri Lanka. Antioxidant rich, taste unbelievable. But we need an entrepreneur to take that. The opportunity is waiting, take it and commercialize it, then you will benefit Sri Lanka.
මගේ ඊළඟ ප්‍රශ්න ඔක්කොටම උත්තර දුන්නා. මගේ ඊළඟ ප්‍රශ්නය මම වෙන පැත්තකට හරවන්න යන්නේ ඔබේ පියා කියපු දෙයකදී. විශේෂයෙන්ම ඔහුගේ ජීවිත කතාව අධ්‍යයනය කරද්දී ඔහුගේ මව, පියාගේ මව ඔබ තේවතු හිමියෙක්ගේ පුතෙක් වෙන්නේ පස්සේ කාලෙක. ඔහු දැවැන්ත තේවතු ව්‍යාපාරයකින් ආපු කෙනෙක් නෙවෙයි. පල්ලන්සේන ගමෙන් ඇවිල්ලා ඔහුගේ මව නිතරම දෙන්න කියලා කියනවා. දෙවියන් වෙනුවෙන් දෙන්න කියන එක. එතකොට හරිය ආගම භක්තියකින් හැදෙන දෙවියන් විශ්වාස කරන දෙයක්. ඔහුගේ සාකච්ඡාවක දැන් මම මේ ළමයින්ට කියනවා ඒ වුණාට ඒගොල්ලන්ට උනත් තාම හරියට ඒක තේරෙන්නේ නැහැ කියලා ඒ කාලේ කියලා තියෙනවා. මොකද්ද මේ දෙන්න හදන එකේ තේරුම? එහෙම නැත්නම් මොකද මේ වෙන වෙන අයට උදව් කරන්නේ? සමහරු ටැක්ස් වලට බය උදව් කරනවා. සමහරු එලියට පේන්න ඒක හරහා ප්‍රචාරයක් ලබන්න උදව් කරනවා. සමහරු සම්මාන එහෙම ගන්න. ඔබේ ආයතනයේ හැම තට්ටුවකම රැස් පහක් කටවහන්න නැහැ කිව්වට ලෝකේ ගන්න පුළුවන් ලොකුම සම්මාන ටික ජාත්‍යන්තර මට්ටමේ සම්මාන එහෙමත් හම්බ වෙලා තියෙනවා. ආයි සම්මාන අරගෙන ඒවා වෙළඳපොළට මේකකවත් ඔබ අපිට කියලා නැහැ. මේවා දාලා දෙන්න කොහොම හරි ඇඩ් එකක් විදිහට දාමු අපි කියලා ඔබේ කාර්ය මණ්ඩලේ කවුරුත් එහෙම අපිට කරදර කරෙත් නැහැ. මේ දෙන්න හදන දේ දෙවියන්ගේ පණිවිඩය ඔබ විශ්වාස කරනවා කියන එක අපිට දැනෙනවා. ඔබ දෙවියොත් එක්ක බිස්නස් කරනවාද මේ? මොකද්ද මේ දෙවියෝ අපිට දීපු පණිවිඩය? ඇයි මේ දෙන එක සමහරු බොරුවට දෙන්නේ? ඒක ව්‍යාපාරික ලාභ ලබන්න දෙන්නේ? දීම හින්දා නැති වෙන්නේ නැද්ද?
There are two sides to that. Firstly, the person who is sweeping the streets at the Vihara Mahadevi Park is working harder than me because they are sweating. So hard work is not an assurance of success. For us, success is not an entitlement, it's a blessing. And when you are blessed in some way, to get more blessings, you must share. You cannot hold the blessing, you must share and give freely. we believe that the more you give, the more you receive. But this is not the reason. When you are blessed, you must share, because blessing comes with that requirement. But also, in my father's life, he came from Nigambo, and from a very lower middle class family. My grandfather had died before some time ago, but when I was small, my grandmother was there. They had a small room, and they were people with very pure hearts. They would pray about everything. So my father also prayed about everything. Whenever he was in difficulty, he prayed, and he believes, he knows that there was a blessing, there were so many miracles. You know, 20-year-old boy from Pallansena, no money in the family. How does he get to go to London, the first group of people to go to London to be taught tea? This and every other thing to us, so many other miracles in his life. So I think there are two aspects to it. Not that we are in partnership, but in my father's journey, faith played a huge role. Faith means something simple. It's not about religion, it's not about going to church or going to temple or whatever. It's about faith in God, that God will take you through the difficult situations, and faith and continuing, but doing a good thing, never doing a bad thing. Because sometimes people say, okay, I will go to church on Sunday, but on Monday I will thrash my workers. You can't do that. You have to live according to a principle of being good. And my father, commitment, passion, purpose, most importantly was faith. And that got him through many situations. So today, my grandmother's philosophy, my father's mother's philosophy was, whatever you get, you must share. So when he was small, she would share everything, and there was nothing much in the house to share, but still she would share. So that principle went into his head. Our children, my brothers and my children, they have also understood, because they have seen what we do, and they have seen that there is a purpose to business. It's not to collect money in the bank, it's to be able to share, and your success, you must express it in the lives of people. How many people have you been able to help today? How many people have you helped this year? That is your measure of success, and then the rest of it will be added unto you.
මේ රෝල බැලන්ස් කරගන්න බැරුව රෝලත් එක්කම ඇඹරලා ගිය කට්ටිය ඉන්න අපේ ව්‍යාපාරිකයන් නිතර කතා මේ රෝල පොඩ්ඩක් අප්සෙට් ගියා පහුගිය කාලේ කොවිඩ් හින්දා වගේ එහෙම කියලා. ණය කළමනාකරණය කොහොමද ෆයිනෑන්ෂියල් බැලන්සින් ගැන ඔබ එංගලන්තයේ උපාධියක් ලබනකොට අනිවාර්යෙන් කොහොමද ක්‍රෙඩිට් ලයින් එක මේන්ටේන් කරන්න කියන එක ඉගෙන ගන්න ඇති. අපේ අය ප්‍රැක්ටිස් එකෙන් දන්නවා. එහෙම නැත්නම් හරියටම ආදායම් වියදම ගණන් හදා ගන්න බැරුව අනාථ වෙනවා කියලා කියන මිනිස්සු ඉන්නවා. මේ ව්‍යාපාරික භාෂාව නිතර පාවිච්චි කරන අලුතෙන් බිස්නස් පටන් ගන්න කට්ටිය ණය ගන්න එක. සමහර කෙනා ණය ගන්න නම් එපා ජීවිතේ ඉවරයි කියලා. කොහොමද ව්‍යාපාර ලෝකයේ ඔබගේ උපාධියෙන් අපිට දැනුම දෙන්න, ඔබගේ එක්ස්පීරියන්ස් එකෙන් අපිට දැනුම දෙන්න, ඔබගේ පියාගේ පසුබිමෙන් අපිට දැනුම දෙන්න. කොහොමද අලුතෙන් එන ව්‍යාපාරිකයෝ ණය කළමනාකරණය කරගන්න ඕනේ?
Loans are important. They're critical. But the important thing is how you manage it. So first of all, when you go to a bank, there's no point saying, I'm thinking of doing business. I want some money. You won't get your money. Or you'll have a crazy interest rate and it won't work. But if you go to a bank and say, look, this is my idea, this is my product, this is how I'm going to sell it. If you have a proper plan, comprehensive plan, and if you make your plan realistic, remember you're not going to start exporting containers to New York in overnight. Make your plan realistic. Start in Colombo, go to Kandy, say I'm going to start in this street. This is a thing, something that people look at and say, they want to be like Elon Musk or they want to be like Bill Gates. You can't do that. Start with one cafe. Start by selling to one street. My father started by selling small packs of tea from the back of his Morris Minor. So that's where you need to start. Then you acquire, but then have a strong principle of saving. Once you save, you start repaying the loans. You build the confidence of the bank that this is a woman or a man that I can support. Because when the bank has that confidence, of course they want to give because they want more success stories. So in my father's journey, he had to always rely on the bank. But the bank trusted him because they knew the minute he can pay, sometimes before the loan is due, he will pay. So they knew that he was an honest man. But also they knew he had a vision. They knew that he had commitment and that he was going to work hard. So with this combination, you are complying with all the requirements of a bank, because a bank is there to, it's a lending institution, no? So they want to find people to lend. But if you are not prepared and if you are not properly planned, then you have a problem. This is my advice. You need the money, but when you plan, you can understand. So, simple example. When my father started selling tea, he knew that there is no future to sell tea in bulk. Many of his friends and colleagues didn't understand that. But when he started selling tea in branded form, when he started Dilmah, people said, look, you're mad, you're stupid. You think you can compete against these big companies from Europe? He said, yes, I can. One day I'm going to compete. And he did. But the point is, he knew, okay, when you do your planning, you may take your bank loan. This is your interest rate. You're not, you might as well put the money in the bank and stay at home and, read the newspaper. But he knew that if he adds value, if he does branding, and if he does this, that he will be able to build a business, keep the bank happy, and grow the business, eventually share. So I think like this, have a plan. Keep it realistic and practical. Don't worry about going to the moon first. Start on earth, start in your street, step by step, and you get there.
ඔබ දවසේ ඉතා ප්‍රබෝධමත් පටන් ගන්නවා. ඔබට දවසේ හැමතිස්සෙම එකම ප්‍රබෝධයෙන් ඉන්න වෙනවා. මොකද එකක් ඔබ බලාගෙන ඉන්න කට්ටිය ඉන්නවා. ජාත්‍යන්තරව ඔබ බලා ඉන්නවා. ඔබේ කොටස ඔබේ දේ බලාගෙන ඉගෙන ගන්න අද මේ මොහොතෙත් ඉන්නවා. ඔබ වෙනුවෙන් ඔබ කියන වචනයක් කරන ජීවිතය වෙනස් කරගන්න හුඟ දෙනෙක් ඉඳීම අප මේක බලන එකත් එක්ක හෙට එහෙම නැත්නම් තව අවුරුදු 5කින් ඔබට මම ප්‍රාර්ථනා කරනවා මේ බලන කට්ටිය කවුරුන් හෝ ඇවිල්ලා එදා ඔබ කියපු වචනය අහලායි මම පළවෙනි පීවර තිබුවේ කියන එක. ඒක තමයි අපේ මේ ගුවන් කාලට දෙවියෝ දෙන සාධාරණේ. අපි පෞද්ගලික ජීවිතේ ඔබට මොනවද අඩු දැන්?
I think the most important thing for us also is to be content. I don't say always happy. Happy is good, but you have to be content. In my discussion today, this morning with some other entrepreneurs also, I was telling you, I told them, you should not complain about your circumstances. You can say, yes, the wages have gone up, this is bad, that is bad. Instead, you look at it and think and say, how am I going to make this work? So I think in the same way, if you find a way to be content, don't see yourself as something you are not. I know I am not my father, I am not some great industrialist, I am not some great international businessman, I am me. And who are you? You are your family, you are your friends, and now after the pandemic, we realize the value of things that we didn't value before. So I think we need to all understand, I am not my car, I am not the quality of the shirt I wear, I am not however good my watch is. This is contentment. And this is something you realize. I'm not saying I was like this all the time. Maybe when I was younger, I was very different. But it is this that creates dissatisfaction. When you constantly, if you ask me, I can tell you 100 things that maybe one day would be nice, would be really nice to have. But maybe I can't afford it. It's not necessary. I like to have one of the fantastic cameras. I like to have a fantastic car. But, is it necessary? This is what we learned during the pandemic. So my request to your viewers is always understand the importance of being content. Being content with your parents, with your partner, your family, your children, being content with your home. Remember, when you are living I have a farm near Ambilipitia, very small village, and near me there is a house, a mud hut, nice family. They are producing quail eggs And we have a shop in our farm, so the old lady, she comes and she sells the quail eggs. Now, her son is very unhappy. Oh, I want a house like this chap. But when my guests come, they want to go and visit this. They say, you know, this is natural. This is the most ecologically sustainable. It's cool inside. It's a beautiful home. You look at it, there are quails, there is beautiful nature. They always want to visit it. So it's a question of perspective. So when you ask, what do you need? I think you need contentment, because this gives you peace. And peace gives you the possibility to be creative, to begin to build. And I think when you talk, we talked about humility before. So to be humble, you have to also be comfortable with who you are. And who you are is not who somebody else is. That I think somebody much smarter than me, they say, be yourself because everybody else is taken. I can't try to be Elon Musk or Meryl J. Fernando or Sir Thomas Lipton. No, I'm me. So I do my best and should be content. I'm sorry, it's a long answer.
No, but perfect, because you can learn a lot out of that. Dilhan, පෞද්ගලික ජීවිතේ ඔබගේ හිත ඔබ කැමති නම් මේ මම කතා කරන්නේ පෞද්ගලික ජීවිතේ ඔබට පුළුවන් ව්‍යාපාරික ලෝකෙත් එකතු කරන්න. දුක් විඳලා තියෙනවද ඔබ? අපිට එළියෙන් බැලුවම හිතෙන්නේ ලෝකයේ තේ අධිකාරියේ ඔහුගේ පියා කියන විදිහට තව අවුරුදු 3මාරකින් ඒ කාලේ කිව්වේ 5කින් කියලා දැන් ගණන් හදලා බලුවම 3මාරකින් ලෝකයේ අංක 1 තේ නිෂ්පාදකයා බවට පත් වෙනවා දැනට ඔබ 2 හෝ 2මාර මැත්තේ ඉන්නවා කියලා කියන්නේ ලෝක මට්ටමේදී එයාගේ ලොකු පුතා එයා දුක් විඳින්නේ නැහැ නේ යට සල්ලි තියෙනවා ඒගොල්ලන්ට ඉගෙන ගන්න පුළුවන් ලෝකේ මොනවද ඉල්ලන්නේ හැමදේම ගන්න පුළුවන් නම දන්නවා ඉගෙනගෙන තියෙනවා හැමදේම තියෙනවා ඔබ දුක් විඳලා තියෙනවද ඔබේ ජීවිතේ?
Every day it's difficult. I don't say that I am in a miserable situation, no. But every day it's a challenge, particularly now. And I think it's the same for every entrepreneur. So I'm not alone. Every day you wake up thinking what new problem will happen. But then again, if you have that attitude of positivity, you can overcome it. For us, our faith is a big part of it, like for my father. And so I think one of the ways in which you can get past this challenge is to also understand who you are. Because on your previous question, if you are comfortable with who you are, then you will not be always aspiring to be something else. This creates the greatest misery of all, because you are always comparing yourself with somebody else. I have friends who can buy everything I have with their pocket money. But this is okay. It's not a problem because I have what I have and I'm happy. So I think it's important to frame it like this. Yes, difficult times. But if you sit back and say, oh my gosh, the world is ending, I'm in a difficult, then you will create your difficult time. Or if you look, there are some people who are so happy. I try to learn from them. And they say, yes, we've got a challenge, but we'll find our way through it. This is what I want to be. So yes, difficulty every day. And the bigger the business becomes, the bigger the difficulty. Because all of these people, they depend, they look at you and they say, look, we need you to help us. We need our salaries, we need bonuses, we need our family is relying on you. But outside circumstances are very, very difficult. But you have to look at it positively.
ව්‍යාපාර කරගෙන යනකොට අපිට විශේෂයෙන්ම ලංකාවේ වැඩ කරන කට්ටිය කියන්නේ දෙවනියෙක් නම් හදන්න එපා. නැත්නම් ළඟම හිටපු එකා තමයි අපේ හොරකම් කරේ. ওই භාෂාවෙන් තමයි අපිට හුඟකම් දෙන්නලා තියෙන්නේ. ළඟ ඉන්න කට්ටිය විශ්වාස කරන්න එපා කියලා. මිනිස්සු උදව් කරපු මිනිස්සුම තමයි බලපුවාම අනිත් පැත්තෙන් ගිහිල්ලා තමන්ගේ කම්පිටිටිව් ප්‍රොඩක්ට්ස් වලට උදව් කරලා තියෙන්නේ. නැත්නම් රහස් එළියට දීලා තියෙන්නේ. හතුරුකම් කරලා තියෙන්නේ කියලා. ඔබට ලංකාවේ මිනිස්සු රිදවලා නැද්ද?
Many staff, many people who have taken business and gone. But again, what my father taught me, wish them well. Because if you wish them bad, then you become angry, you become upset. So it's okay, fine. He worked for us for 5 years, he took some customers and went, good luck. And you even write to the customers and say you wish them luck. Because eventually they will see who you are then. They will understand your integrity. The worst thing to do is to allow somebody else's actions to upset you, because your reaction is what will determine whether you are content or not. So yes, we have people, different departments. Sometimes they will cause some damage. Somebody will do some small sabotage. Somebody will do something else. But generally, we are okay. So we wish them well. We recently, in fact, we had a situation. We had somebody who was doing not so good things. So I spoke to my father and I said, look, we have to send this, you have to now move out of the contract with this person. He said, very good. Give 2 months salary also and send them off. So actually if I looked at it the normal way, I'll be very upset. I'll be very angry. Why did this person do this? I'm angry. But no, I thought my father's solution was very good. Because then I said, now that person is very upset. My gosh, after everything I did, they have given me 2 months salary also and sent me off. And we gave 2 months salary not for any PR, but we gave it because we said, look, now is not a good time for you to resign and go. You have done something bad, but okay, that's a different matter. Here's some money, so for 2 months at least you can look after your family. And so I think it's in my faith, if you summarize my faith, God says, look, love one another. This is the basic principle. So you have no right to be angry, to be fearful, whatsoever. So actually when you love one another, I found even with this person, they did wrong to us. But when we reply, when we don't respond, when we don't react negatively, we react positively and say, no, it's okay. All the pain, the worry, etc. is actually transferred to her. I don't have to worry. I did the right thing. So I think that's a simple philosophy.
සමහරු ඡායාරූප ගන්නවා ඒවා ප්‍රදර්ශනය කරනවා තමන් හුඟක් දේවල් වලට දක්ෂයි කියලා එළියේ ඔබට සල්ලි තියෙනවා ඔබ එක වචනයයි කියන්න ඕන ඔබේ PR ටීම් එක හරි ගස්සයි ලස්සනට ලංකාවේ කලාගාර නිර්මාණය කරයි ඔබ වෙනුවෙන් මොකද ඔබට සල්ලි තියෙනවා ඔබව දන්න කෙනෙක් ඒක කරපුවාම ඒ අයටත් යම් ප්‍රතිලාභයක් තියෙනවා කලාවට සෞන්දර්යයට ඔබට වෙලාවක් තියෙනවාද ඔබ ඒක විනෝදයක් විදිහට ගන්න නැත්නම් ව්‍යාපාරයේද ඔබේ පැෂන් එක ඔබ කලාව සෞන්දර්ය වගේ දේවල් කියන්නේ චිත්‍රයක් විඳින්න මියුසික් එකක් අහන්න නටන්න hina වෙන්න ඒ පැත්තට යන්න වෙලාවක් තියනවද ඔබට
little time but it's very important in the old days people would say oh you must work it's very fashionable for business people oh working but today I think it's important that you have at least one day and for me it's Sunday of course I go to church but then you spend time with your family I listen to music, I like photography, so I sometimes take pictures, I like reading, read books, whatever. So really half a day on Saturday and all day Sunday, this is what I do. Yes, watching a movie sometimes. But why I'm telling you this is that in every business, whether you're selling tea or selling cashew nuts or delivering a service, you have to be creative because today there are 7 billion people who are trying to do business. So to be creative, your mind has to be clear. It's not fashionable anymore to say, look, we are working all the time. Because when you do that, when you don't give your mind peace, you don't have the possibility to be creative. So my greatest joy is, of course, my family, but in terms of recreation is to go to our villages and so this is what I do in Emilipitia. You walk in that place, there's nothing, it's a jungle sometimes. It's the most amazing experience for the mind creatively, but also for the body, for the spirit, for health. You have, in Japan they call it forest bathing. There is even a scientific reason why walking in nature is scientifically good, medically good. I don't know about all of that. I have read the research, it's very good and it's very clear. But for me, it's these simple things And particularly after the pandemic, you learn to value the friendships you have. You learn to value your relationship, whether with your wife, with your children, but also learn to value the nature and the simple things. Some people might say, look, I like to go to a nightclub, I like to go to a beautiful hotel. I mean, okay, maybe. But what is really, really fulfilling for me is to see the beauty in nature, to see the beauty in relationships. And I hope more and more of our people will do. I think many do, because when you go to the villages, you know, it's such a wonderful thing to see how people interact with each other, how the friendships and so on. But you see some of the younger people, it's a different relationship. But I hope that after the pandemic, that they will learn that relationships are important, honesty, and all of this comes from relationships. Once you have a relationship with somebody, you find that you gain more than you give in a relationship, sitting and talking, and particularly with family. And this is something that is very important.
මිතුරනි ලෝකයේ පුරා ඉන්න මේ වැඩසටහන බලන මම ඔබට පුංචි මතක් කිරීමක් කරනවා. මම ඊළඟට ඔබට ගෙනෙන්න බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන අනාගතයේදී සුවිශේෂී වැඩසටහනක් මුහුදු වැද්දෝ ගැන. විශේෂයෙන්ම අපි වැඩි ජනතාව ගැන කතා කරනවා. බොහෝ දෙනා දඹාන ගැනයි කතා කරන්නේ. නමුත් අවුරුදු 30ක යුද්ධයක් එක්ක වහන් වෙලා හිටපු මුහුදු වැද්දන්න ප්‍රථම වතාවට YouTube වලින් මම ඔබට ගෙනෙන්න සූදානම්. ඒ තාම සංස්කරණ කටයුතු වල තියෙන්නේ. ඒ කටයුතු ඉදිරිපත් වෙච්ච ගාම ඔබට ප්‍රථම වතාවට දැනගන්න පුළුවන් වෙයි. ඒ අය හොයාගෙන යනකොට ඒ වනාන්තරවල ඒ අසරණ වෙච්ච මිනිස්සු කොට්ටාශයට ගිහිල්ලා බලනකොට එතෙන්ටත් ඩිල්මා අපිට කලින් ගිහිල්ලා. එතකොට මේ කියපු දේවල් ඇත්තටම සාක්ෂි හොයාගෙනයි මේ සාකච්ඡාවට මම එන්නේ. මොකද මේ මම කතා කරන දේවල් වලට මම උත්තර දෙන්න වගකීමෙන් බැඳිලා ඉන්නවා වගේම මේ වැඩසටහන හරහා ඔබට ගෙනේපු දේවල් වලටත් අපි කියපු දේවල් වලටත් හැම අකුරකටම අපි ඊළඟ පරම්පරාවට වග කියනවා. මොකද මේවා සටහන් වෙලා තියෙනවා. අවකාශයේත් ඒ වගේම මාධ්‍යවලත් මේවා තියෙනවා. විශේෂයෙන්ම ජන කොටස් වලට ඔවුන් මුහුදු වැද්දන්ට විතරක් නෙවෙයි ඒ ආදිවාසී ජනතාවට අහිගුන්ටක ජනතාවට වළං හදන ගම්මානවලට අර කිව්වා වගේ විවිධ ආබාධ සහිත විවිධ අවශ්‍යතාවයන් සහිත විශේෂ දරුවන්ට ගම්මානවලට දරිද්‍රතාවයට ව්‍යවසායකයන්ට තුවාල වෙච්ච සතුන්ට ස්පිරිතාලවලට බොහෝ වෙලාවට ඔවුන්ගේ ලාභය තමයි ඔවුන් බෙදා හරින ලාභයේ කොටසක්. එතකොට ඔබ විවිධ ආගම් වලින් මේ ලාභය කළමනාකරණය කරන හැටි අහගෙන ඇති. නමුත් ඒවා ප්‍රායෝගිකව කරන පොළොව උඩ හරියට ඒක කරන කණ්ඩායම් පිළිබඳව S2 දකින්නට අපි වාසනාවන්තයි කියලා බලාපොරොත්තුවක් තියාගන්න. අනාගතයේදී ඩිල්මා බඳු ව්‍යාපාරයන් ගොඩනගන අයටයි මේ අපි ආරාධනා කරන්නේ දැක්මක් දර්ශනයක් එක්ක යන්න කියලා. ඩිල්හාන් අවසාන වශයෙන් ලෝකයේ පුරා ඔබේ තේකොළ බොන මේ තියෙන ඔබේ තාත්තා පළවෙනි වෙළඳ දැන්වීමට පාවිච්චි කරපු පරණ තේජෝගුවයි පිරිස්කෝප්ප කුට්ටමයි. මේක ඒ අය රත්තරන් වගේ පරිස්සම් කරනවා. විශේෂයෙන්ම ඒක ඒ තරම්ම සිහිවටනයක් විදිහටයි පාවිච්චි කරන්නේ. මේ ඇඩ් එක ඔබට ඩිල්මා සම්බන්ධව මුල් වෙළඳ දැන්වීම එහෙම මතක නම් ඒ අතේ තියෙන කෝප්පේ වත් කරන දේ තමයි මේ තියෙන්නේ. ඒක නිකම්ම ආවට ගියාට තේ පෝච්චි නෙමෙයි මේ තියාගෙන ඉන්නේ. එතකොට අපි දැනගන්න කැමති ඔබේ පාරිභෝගිකයන්ට විශේෂයෙන්ම ලෝකයේ විවිධ රටවල් වල පාරිභෝගිකයෝ මේ වැඩසටහන බලාවි. මේක පිටපතක් ඕන්ට බෙදා හදා ගන්න අපි පුළුවන් හැටියට බෙදා ගනිමු. අපි කැමති ඔබේ පාරිභෝගිකයන්ට කෙලින්ම කියන්න ඔබේ ආයතනයත් ඔවුන් අතරේ තියෙන ඔබ ලියලා දෙනවා විවිධ පණිවිඩ. ඔබ අත්දැකීම් වලින් ලබාගත් දේවල් තියෙනවා. ඔවුන් විශ්වාස කරනවා ඔබේ පියාගේ සහ ඔබේ වචන ඔබ ලබා දෙන අවංක ප්‍රකාශ සහ ඔබ ඇත්තටම කලවම් කරන්නේ නැහැ මේ කලවම් නැහැ කියලා කිව්වොත් බොරුවටවත් කලවම් නැහැ කියලා. අපි කැමති අවසාන වශයෙන් මේ කාලය ලබා දෙන්න ඔබේ පාරිභෝගිකයන්ට end userට කෙලින්ම කතා කරන්න මේක අවස්ථාවක් කියලා.
My advice to my customers is quite simply this. Tea is an amazing herb. It is rich in natural antioxidants. It's good for human health. When it is sustainably grown, it is a wonderful herb. Sri Lanka is an amazing country. Its biodiversity is rich. Its tea is unique. The varieties, the terroirs and so on. And what my father did in disrupting this colonial industry and delivering tea made with ethics, with kindness to people and to nature is something spectacular. Today the world has forgotten to a large extent the importance of this, the artisan, the importance of people who love what they do. But there are encouraging signs of consumers beginning to rekindle that appreciation of the provenance, of the quality of passion and so on. And so my request is, before you raise your cup of tea for the first sip, think a little bit about the producer. Think a little bit about what happens to the grower. Think a little bit about the impact of what you do on nature. Because all of these are very important. And when a consumer makes a purchasing decision, that decision filters all the way down to the economy of the producing country, to the wages of the worker, to the education of their families, to the environment, to the climate change discussion. So if we want to be a part of the solution to the social and environmental problems we are having in the world, we need to be conscious consumers. We need to buy products that we know to be good for the environment, to be good for people. And I believe that in 1985, when my father first launched the world's first genuinely ethical tea grown, picked, perfected, packed by the producer, branded, value-added at source, I believe that he became the original disruptor. Today people talk a lot about disruption. Final words are thank you. Thank you very much to everyone who chose Dilmah and helped my father to achieve his dreams.
Thank you Dilhan. Thank you very much. අපි තාමත්ම ස්තුතිවන්ත වෙනවා අනාගත ව්‍යාපාරිකයන් වෙනුවෙන්. ඒ වගේම ලෝකයේ පුරා විසිරී පැතිරී ඉන්න ශ්‍රී ලාංකිකයන් වෙනුවෙන් අපේ රට ආඩම්බර තත්ත්වයට පත් කළාට ශ්‍රී ලාංකිකයන් රටේ ලෝකයේ හැමතැනදීම ඔබ නිසා, ඔබේ පියා නිසා, ඔබේ සහෝදර සේවකයන් නිසා අපි ආඩම්බරයට පත් වෙනවා. ලෝකයේ හැමතැනදීම අපි කතා කරන්නට ආඩම්බරෙන් අපිට වටපිට බලලා ඔළුව කෙලින් තියාගන්න පුළුවන් බ්‍රෑන්ඩ් එකක් ඔබ හදලා තියෙනවා. ඒක මම ඉස්සෙල්ලා කිව්වා වගේ අපේ ප්ලැනට් එකෙන් එහාට යන දවසත් ඉක්මනටම ලැබේවා කියලා ප්‍රාර්ථනා කරනවා. ඒ වගේම මනුස්සත්වයේ පණිවිඩයත් ඒ වගේම යනකොට අනාගතයේදී අද මේ වැඩසටහන නරඹලා තව 10 දෙනෙක් ඔබට හමු වේවා කියලා මම ප්‍රාර්ථනා කරනවා. ලංකාවේ නම ලෝකේ පුරාගෙන.